Hey everyone, welcome back to The Rustic Wife. I'm Alana. So I just have supper almost ready. I've got some spare ribs in the oven and some rice on the stove, and I've got some Brussels sprouts to cook too. But I do not have a dessert made, and it is 10 to 6. So I'm just gonna whip up a really quick dessert that we love to have. Actually, we except Isabel, she doesn't like it, but we do. It's a really quick recipe using pantry staples, and it's homemade chocolate pudding, and it doesn't use eggs. It's just thickened with cornstarch. You can do it in the microwave or you can do it on the stove top. So I'm going to show you how we do that, and we'll whip up some Chantilly cream with it, so it'll be really nice to go along with our dinner tonight. I have my dishes all ready, and aren't these beautiful? These were my husband's grandmother's dishes, and I like to use those whenever I make pudding or serve fruit cocktail or something like that. But I have this many out because I'm doing 2 batches of pudding tonight. I'm doing one on the stove top and one in the microwave, just so you can see how they're both done. Some people don't have microwaves, so I'll do 2, and that just gives me another reason to eat more pudding tomorrow. And the recipes usually make about 4 or 5 of these, so that's why I've got 8 of these out right now. The recipe is really simple. It just calls for unsweetened cocoa powder, cornstarch, a little pinch of salt, some sugar, milk, and I put in some vanilla and butter at the very end when it's all thickened. And I already have one started on the stove top here. I just did that. So you really just, once it starts to simmer, you have to make sure that you constantly stir it so that the milk doesn't scorch on the bottom of the pot. And I remember when I was little, my job was to stir the pudding that when my mom would make it. So I'd push a stool up there and stir the pudding so it wouldn't scorch. As you can see, I've just used a small saucepan here for that, so that's big enough. And for the microwave, this is a 1.5 quart dish. You can use a 2 quart, but make sure it's microwavable safe. And I'll get started and show you how I whip this up. All right, so we'll just do the dry ingredients first. So we've got a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/4 cup cornstarch, next a pinch of salt, and then we have a 1/2 cup of sugar. So if you don't have unsweetened cocoa powder and you have hot chocolate powder, you can use that instead. Just cut down on the sugar, and instead of adding a 1/2 cup, you just use a 1/4 cup, and that's only if you don't have the unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm just going to give that a stir. Next, add 2 3/4 cups of milk. If you don't have milk, you can use half canned milk and half water if you like. And this is just 2%. You can use skim milk, you can use homogenized 2%. It'll even work with non-dairy milk as well. Just whisk this together. Okay, next we'll pop this in the microwave, and we're going to microwave this for about 7 to 9 minutes, but every 2 minutes we're going to take it out and give it a whisk. We don't want lumps in this. So. And that power level is full power level, so every 2 minutes we're going to stop it and give it a whisk. The pudding that's on the stovetop, I actually just have the stovetop set to simmer. I want it fairly low because I don't want the milk to scorch, and you can see that the pudding has started to slightly thicken up. So at this point we want to make sure that we keep it constantly stirred, otherwise you're going to scorch the milk on the bottom. So we'll take this and we'll give this one a whisk. So this has been simmering for about 4 minutes. It's getting thicker. You can see the bubbles in it, so you definitely want to keep stirring at this point. All right, I think that's thick enough, and I'm going to remove it from the stovetop. And I will add in some butter and some vanilla extract. And you'll see I have artificial vanilla extract. I was not paying the full price for the pure vanilla at the store, so I just grabbed some of that, and it's fine. So we're going to whisk the butter in and the vanilla, and then transfer the pudding into the dishes. And this took probably about By the time it started to form small bubbles around the outside, it probably was only about 6 or 7 minutes to get it to this thickness. Add about a tablespoon of butter, makes it nice and creamy, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Give that a whisk. Whisk it until the butter has completely melted. So with this pudding, you can use this for a pie, a chocolate pie as well. So put on your pie filling, whatever you like. And if you don't want to add vanilla to it, you can change it up and use some mint extract or orange extract. And I will post a link above on the video I did on how to make orange extract. So I'm just gonna pour this one into the dishes, and then we'll finish the one in the microwave. So this pudding will actually form a light skin over the top of it. If you don't want that, you can always just transfer this into a bowl and then put plastic wrap right over top of it. Make sure that the plastic wrap is actually touching the warm pudding, or you can do the same in the individual dishes. So that batch made 4 and a little bit, but I really could have filled these less and made 5. But I'm going to show you what I mean about the plastic wrap. So you just want, if you don't want the skin on your pudding, you can see this one's already starting to form it. If you don't want the skin, what you have to do is take a piece of plastic wrap and you want to put it right onto the pudding. Make sure it's touching it. So it's like that. And that way it'll stop the skin from forming. So while that other batch is in the microwave, I'm going to make some sweetened whipped cream, and that is otherwise called a Chantilly Cream, and it's just 35% whipping cream with vanilla and sugar. So it goes really nicely with the chocolate pudding too. And for your coffee in the morning. Right, my KitchenAid mixer, I'm just going to pour the 35% cream, and there's about 2 cups in there. I like to have extra cream for my coffee or sundaes or anything like that. So I've got 2 cups of cream, a teaspoon of vanilla, start with a 1/4 cup of sugar. Sometimes I use a 1/3 cup, but we'll see how sweet this is. And I'll just whisk it. So that was in the microwave for 9 minutes and whisked every 2 minutes. Just want to make sure there's no lumps. So we'll add in the vanilla. I'm just going to eyeball it. So about a teaspoon and a tablespoon of butter. Again, I just eyeballed that too. And whisk it until the butter melts. So really about 9 minutes in the microwave and maybe about 10 minutes on the stove top. So if you don't have a microwave, it's very quick on the stove as well. Just you got to make sure you don't let the pudding scorch on the bottom. You got to make sure you're whisking it. Look how beautiful that is. Nice and silky and smooth. And we'll put it in the dishes. And there we go. There's our chocolate pudding dessert, and we'll have that with whipped cream. I wanted to show you the difference between the pudding with the plastic wrap and the one without. So you can see this one here has formed what I called a skin on the top earlier. And personally, I like that. You can see it. It's kind of got like a smooth skin on the top. And then this one that I put the plastic wrap on, it doesn't have it. So it's just a matter of preference whether you like the top to look like that or if you like it smooth with that skin on the top. So you can see the consistency of the pudding. It's been out for about, I think about 40 minutes, I'd say. So it's set up nicely, but it should be refrigerated and it'll last for about 2 or 3 days in there. I've got the cream whipped. I'll set it in a nice fancy bowl. So our supper is ready, and as you can see, the pudding and whipped cream is also ready for our dessert. So that is a really quick recipe that you can whip up using pantry staples if you just want a sweet treat, or if you have company coming over, that's a really good one to use. So thanks a lot for joining me in the kitchen again today, and if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again next time.